morning, Kennedy Dragons. Today is Tuesday. It is September 28th. It's the 39th day of school. I'm Mr. Butcher, and it's my job to keep you guys safe so that you can show us how excellent you can be. Hopefully you've left your average on the bus or at home, and you're ready to have a respectful and responsible day. Speaking of responsibilities, one of our first responsibilities is to be ready to show respect for the rights that we have in this country and at our school. We do this by daily saying the pledge to the flag, doing our school pledge, as well as our moment of silence. When we say our pledge, we want to stand up tall. We want to put our hand over our hearts like this, say the pledge loudly, clearly, and with pride. Leading us in the pledge today is Miss Alvarez and Miss Cooper.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the Kennedy School Pledge.
I pledge myself as a Kennedy Dragon to be ready for the day ahead of me. I will be respectful of myself, my teachers, and all others I meet throughout the day. I promise to be responsible for myself, my actions, and my learning. I will work my hardest to be the best dragon I can be.
Please take a moment to reflect silently on our day, our activities, and what we hope to accomplish. Another responsibility that we have each day is to try to keep each other safe. We can do this by trying to slow down the spread of germs. One way we can do this, which is a really great way to do this, is to make sure we wash our hands frequently throughout the day. When you wash your hands, you want to make sure that you're using soap and water. If you can't get to soap and water, you can use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. You want to make sure that you're getting all parts of your hands, the palms and the backs and in between your fingers and your fingertips, your thumbs and your wrists as well. You want to make sure that you're doing it for at least 20 seconds. So let's model what good hand washing looks like. Get yourself some hand sanitizer. Let's get those palms of our hands. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get the back of the other one hand. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get the back of the other hand. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get in between your fingers. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your fingertips. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your other fingertips. Set of fingertips. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your thumb. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your other thumb. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your wrist. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your other wrist. 2, 3, 4, 5. And now your hand should be nice and clean. All right, before we start with our birthdays, don't forget this week we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with our highlighting week. Speaking of today is highlighting Hispanic heritage, so you guys should all be wearing neon. Don't forget that tomorrow is Vaquero or Ranchero Day, so dress like a cowboy or a cowgirl. Thursday is Football Day, where you wear your favorite soccer jersey, or if you don't have a soccer team jersey, you can just wear a team jersey. And then Friday is Rep the Culture, wear your Hispanic heritage gear. So we're looking forward to seeing. All right, after we've done our pledges, we've done our moment of silence, done our hand washing, it's time to show respect to those that have birthdays today. Happy birthday today to Anthony Lavandera, who's 9, Marcus Gillum, who's 10, and Noel Walton is 12. We'll make sure that you guys get your birthday ribbon. Another responsibility that we have each day is to make our lunch choice. Our lunch choice today is hot dog, which is an all-beef frank nestled in a whole grain bun. Creamy coleslaw, savory baked beans, baked Lay's, sliced peaches, and the 2-bite brownie, which I eat in 1 bite, but you should take 2. If you don't want the hot dog, you can always get yogurt or muffin or peanut butter and jelly. We do have yogurt and muffin. All right, each week we are trying to build up our vocabulary by doing our picture of the week. Not only is it helping build our vocabulary, it's a great writing lesson, creative writing lesson as well. So each week we show you a picture. Here's our picture for this week. And we are looking for nouns. Nouns are persons, places, things that you can touch, things that you can see, things that you can feel. Make sure you're looking at all the parts of this picture. What's going on in this picture? Looking for nouns, persons, places, things, ideas, things that you can touch, see, feel. Good luck. Today's morning message is on perseverance, confidence, and goals. Success means different things to different people. When you are young, success can mean learning how to ride a bike or saving your allowance until you have enough money to buy a new toy. It feels good to be a success at something, and that's why setting goals is so important. When you set a goal and reach it, you feel proud of yourself and you gain confidence. Today, take a moment and set one clear goal that you would like to try to reach this week, like keeping your room clean every day or improving your conduct in class. Write down your goal and then every day take a look at it as a reminder. If you reach your goal, notice if it makes you feel proud about yourself. If you don't reach your goal, don't give up. Just ask for help. Talk to someone you respect, someone a little older or a little wiser. Then try again. Remember, it's better to try and miss than it is to not try at all. With something to think about, I'm Mr. Butcher. Make today your masterpiece or not. Remember, the choice is yours. And that's true. You should be setting goals. I know every one of our students has taken the MAP test in grades 1 through 5, and I know that kind of gives you a goal for what you should be shooting for at the end of the year. But I like the idea. Set a goal for this week. What's one thing that you can do this week? I would love to set a reading goal or a math goal. You know, I like to read, like that's why we do we tell you get better each week with your reading stamina. That's also too, when you think about your math facts, if you only got 15 math facts right last time, let's try to get 16 this week or 20 this week. If you read for 8 minutes last week before you got distracted, let's try to get to 9 minutes this week. So that's what you do with your goals. So try to set a goal this week, see how you can do. It should make you feel good about yourself. All right, still under our mask mandate, so let's go ahead and make sure we're putting our masks on the right way. Put it on over your nose, put it on over your mouth, make sure it's tight around your ears, and don't be touching it. You guys have a great day. I love you. That is all we have for announcements, so please help me.
Me and your teachers keep you safe. That is our job.
And your job is to help us keep you safe.
And you can help us by being a ready, respectful, and responsible student who is focused on graduating in the year.
Because when you are a ready, respectful, and responsible student focused on graduation, you are fully committed to student success. I love you very much. Have a
Hola, soy Señor Newport. ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Estoy bien? ¿Estoy bien? ¿Estamos bien? Celebramos esta semana el mes de la herencia hispana leyendo libros tanto en inglés como en español. Puede encontrar estos libros y más en nuestra biblioteca. Solamente pregúntele a la señora Day o señora Hall. Estoy practicando mi español todos los días, tanto leyendo como escribiendo y hablando, para poder comunicarme mejor con nuestras familias que necesitan una persona, alguien que hable español en nuestra escuela. Espero que disfrutes este libro. For those who don't speak Spanish, I just said a lot about we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month this week at Kennedy Elementary School, and we are doing that by reading books that you can find in our library that are in both English and Spanish. All you have to do is ask Miss D or Miss Hall if you are interested. I am trying to practice my Spanish every day by reading, by writing, by speaking with people who know Spanish, so that I can become a better communicator for our families who need somebody at our school to speak Spanish. Also, I enjoy speaking Spanish, so it's not just that, it's also because I enjoy it. So, all right, so here's our book. Our book today is the Calling the Doves, El Canto de las Palomas, story by, escrito por Juan Felipe Herrera, pictures by, ilustrado por Ellie Simmons. Calling the Doves. I was born in the tiny town of Fowler, the raisin capital of the world. My mother and father were farm workers, and I grew up traveling with them through the mountains and valleys of California. This book is dedicated to my mother, Lucha, and my father, Felipe, who love the open sky and the earth when it is tender. They taught me that inside every word, there can be kindness. Nací en el pequeño pueblo de Fowler, la capital de las pasas del mundo. Mi mamá y mi papá fueron campesinos, y yo crecí recorriendo con ellos las montañas y los valles de California. Dedico este librito a mi madre Lucha y a mi padre Felipe, quienes amaban el cielo del campo y la tierra cuando se pone tierna. Ellos me enseñaron que dentro de cada palabra existe una sonrisa. You were born on the road, like your father. My mother would tell me this when we had to move on to another labor camp. My mother Lucha, my father Felipe, and me. I would gaze across the fields at the campesinos, the farm workers, as my father drove our old army truck through the back roads of California. In their bright colors, campesinos dotted the land like tropical birds. Naciste en el camino como tu papá. Mi mamá me decía esto cuando teníamos que mudarnos a otro campo de labor. Mi mamá Lucha, mi papá Felipe y yo. Divisaba a los campesinos trabajando en los files mientras mi papá manejaba nuestra vieja troca del Army por los caminos olvidados de California. Con su ropa brillante, los campesinos le daban color al campo como aves tropicales. Wherever we stopped, we set up a carpa, a tent. My father would pull out thick green canvas like a giant tortilla dipped in green tomato sauce. Mama would unroll it while we looked for branches to pin the ends to the ground. We slept huddled together under blankets and quilts. I would look up and see the stars sparkle through the tiny holes of the canvas. Cuando parábamos, hacíamos una carpa. Mi papá sacaba una lona gruesa y verde, como una tortilla gigante remojada en salsa de tomatillo. Mamá la extendía mientras buscábamos varitas para clavar sus 4 puntas en el suelo. Dormíamos arrecholota. That's a difficult word to say. Dormíamos arrecholados juntos bajo cobijas y zarapes. Boca arriba yo contemplaba las estrellas que centelleaban más allá de los aguajitos de la carpa. My mother would cook breakfast outside in the open. Huevos con papas, scrambled eggs or fried eggs with potatoes, a frying pan, a griddle to cook the tortillas, and a jar of forks and knives. These were the necessary ingredients. And of course, wood for the fire. The sky was my blue spoon. The wavy clay of the land was my plate. Mi mamá cocinaba el desayuno al aire libre. Huevos con papas o huevos revueltos. Una sartén, una comal para las tortillas y un frasco con tenedores y cuchillos. Estas eran las cosas necesarias. Y, claro, leña para el fuego. El cielo era mi cuchara azul y el barro tierno de la tierra era mi plato. Un día mi papá decidió hacer una casita de 4 paredes, montada sobre un carro abandonado. Martillo, palos largos y madera laminada sobre el chasis de un Ford antiguo y remojo su brocha en baldes de pintura blanca. Desde lejos, mi casa era una caja chica de pan con ruedas. Por dentro era una cuevita cariñosa que se calentaba con pláticas. Del radio en la pared salían anuncios ruidosos y corridos mexicanos. One day, my father decided to build us a one-room house on top of an abandoned car. He hammered 2x4s and plywood onto the old Ford chassis and dipped his brush into buckets of white paint. From the distance, my house was a short loaf of bread on wheels. Inside it was a warm cave of conversations, Mexican songs, and auctions blared from a box radio on the wall. One time we visited friends in Fowler for a couple of months. I took my baths in a giant tin bucket in the middle of the yard, surrounded by 4 family members. While she scrubbed my arms, my mother sang about Mexicanos crossing the Texas border. I hummed along and splashed the water. A thin wooden Protestant church leaned to one side behind the trailers. Our dirt patio was a sand-colored theater where I learned to sing. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Necesitamos luz. Una vez visitamos a unos amigos en Fowler por un par de meses. Tomé mis baños en una tina de hojalata en medio de la yarda, rodeada por 4 familias en sus trailers. Mientras me tallaba los brazos, mi mamá cantaba de los mexicanos que cruzaban la frontera de Texas. Yo seguía la canción y salpicaba el agua. Una iglesia protestante hecha de madera frágil se ladeaba detrás de las trailers. Nuestro patio de barro era un teatro vestido de arena donde aprendí a cantar. At noontime, on a lunch break from driving the tractor, my father made bird calls. He would put his hands up to his mouth and whistle deeply as if he had a tiny clarinet inside the palms of his hands. "This is how a dove sings," my father would say. Sooner or later, a real dove would fly in and perch itself on a nearby tree. Al mediodía, en su descanso, cuando dejaba de manejar el tractor, mi papá llamaba a los pájaros. Poniendo sus manos sobre la boca, chiflaba muy hondo como si tuviera un pequeño clarinete entre las palmas de sus manos. "Así canta la paloma", decía mi papá. Tarde o temprano llegaba una paloma del campo y se paraba en un árbol cercano. Sometimes my mother would surprise us at dinner by reciting poetry. Over a plate of guisado and a hard flour tortilla, she would rise to her feet with her hands up as if asking for rain. Rhyming words would pour out of her mouth, and for a moment the world would stop spinning. De vez en cuando mi madre nos sorprendía en la cena recitando poesía. Mientras cenábamos, un platillo de guisado y una tortilla dura de harina se paraba de puntillas con las manos levantadas como si pidiera lluvia a las nubes. De sus labios brotaban palabras melodiosas. Y por un momento el mundo entero dejaba de girar. After dinner, after our few traveling chickens had gone to roost, my father would play the harmonica and tell stories about coming to the States from Chihuahua, Mexico. "My mother died while giving birth, and my father died from hard labor," he would say. "I was only 14 when I jumped the train to come to the United States, to El Norte. I had heard how I could ride horses in Wyoming, but when I got there it was so cold that my spit turned to ice when it hit the ground. Después de la cena y después de que nuestras pocas gallinas viajeras corrían a sus estacas, mi padre tocaba su armónica y nos cantaba cómo había salido de Chihuahua, México, y cómo había llegado a los Estados Unidos. Mi ama padeció mientras yo nacía, y mi papá murió de cansancio en los campos. Él nos decía, solo tenía 14 años cuando salté al tren para venirme a los Estados Unidos al norte. Me habían dicho que podía montar caballos en Wyoming, pero al llegar allí hacía tanto frío que al escupir la saliva se hacía hielito al chocar con la tierra. My mother was a healer. When a fast sparrow would crash into our square house, Mama would pick it up gently and rub its head with alcohol and eucalyptus tea. Sometimes she would visit the neighborhood children who were sick. For a fever, she would tell me, you need plantillas for the feet. First you mix shortening and baking soda in a bowl, then you rub this on the legs and feet. Gently you wrap the feet with newspapers. In the morning, cool and surprised, the children would jump out of bed in their squeaky paper boots. Mi mamá era una curandera. Cuando un gorrión chocaba contra nuestra casita cuadrada, mi mamá lo cogía con mucho cuidado y le sobaba la cabecita con alcohol y té de eucalipto. A veces visitaba a los hijos enfermos de los vecinos. Para la calentura, me decía, Se necesitan plantillas para los pies. Primero, en un plato hondo, se mezcla la manteca con la espalda. Luego se la untas a las piernas y los pies. Con cuidado, envuelves los pies en unos periódicos. En la mañana, frescos y sorprendidos, los niños saltaban de sus camas en sus ruidosas botas de papel. El camino cambiaba con las estaciones. Durante el invierno mis padres podaban vides en Delano. En la primavera nos íbamos a Salinas para la pizca de melón, lechuga y brócoli. Al comienzo del verano regresábamos a Delano y Parlier para recortar racimos de uvas para que algunos crecieran más dulces. Ya para el fin del verano, cuando las hojas tornaban de color, cruzábamos el valle piscando uvas. Para que se secaran, las extendíamos en tiras de papel sobre la tierra, y con el tiempo, en el sol, los pequeños y luminosos planetas terminaban de alumbrar y se volvían oscuras pasas. The road changed with the seasons. In the winter, in Delano, my parents trimmed grapevines. By springtime, we headed to Salinas for the picking of melon, lettuce, and broccoli. When summer began, we drove back to Delano and Parlier to prune the grapes so that a few would grow the sweetest. By the end of summer, as the leaves turned colors, we traveled through the valley picking the grapes. We laid them out on the ground to dry on long sheets of paper between the vines. In time, with the sun, the tiny fiery plants would stop glowing and shrink into dark raisins. In the mountain valleys around Lake Wolfer, my father would get paid in sacks of sweet potatoes and buckets of fresh water, fish, instead of money. He worked for old retired people like Mr. Kelly the Irishman, who paid him with live rabbits, and Mrs. Jameson, who paid him in trays of corn biscuits. Instead of toys, he would bring home bags of avocados and flying turkeys. The turkeys shook their red noses and flapped their peppery feathers and ran after me. En los valles montañosos de Lake Wolfer, le pagaban a mi padre con sacos de camotes y baldes de peques de agua dulce en vez de dinero. Él trabajaba para gente jubilada, como el señor Kelly, el irlandés, que le pagaba con conejitos vivos, y la señora Jameson, que le pagaba con charolas de bisquetes de maíz. En vez de juguetes, mi papá traía a casa bolsas de aguacates y guajolotes voladores. Los guajolotes sacudían sus narices rojas, desplegaban sus plumas grises y me correteaban. I love the night. Can you hear the wolves in the mountains? My mother would ask me. The wolves were the mountain singers. I imagined them sniffing at the moon in long howls and high notes that cried in the dark like lost children. I would cup my hands to my mouth and join them. Yo amaba la noche. ¿Oyes a los lobos en las montañas? Me preguntaba mi mamá. Los lobos eran los cantantes de las sierras. Me los imaginaba olfateando a la luna. Con sus prolongados aullidos y altas notas, parecía que lloraban en lo oscuro como niños perdidos. Poniendo mis manos como jícaras sobre mi boca, y yo me unía a los lobos. A fiesta in the mountains was a rare treat. The other campesinos would invite us. They worked as gardeners like my father or housekeepers like my mother. We would gather under a large carpa as big as a circus tent, huddled up against a mountain slope. I remember stove fires, guitars, and my father's harmonica, and sweet tortillas the size of my hand that tasted like licorice candy. The men would lift me up in their arms and offer me churros con canela y azúcar, Mexican donuts with cinnamon and sugar. It was a homemade city of brown faces with smiles and music. Una fiesta en las montañas era un raro placer. Los otros campesinos nos convidaban. Trabajaban en los jardines como mi papá o en las casas con mi mamá. Nos reuníamos bajo una carpa inflada como las del circo, arrecholados al lado de la montaña. Me acuerdo de las estufitas y su fuego, las guitarras, la armónica de mi papá y las tortillas dulces del tamaño de mi mano que sabían a anís. Los hombres me subían en sus brazos y me ofrecían churros con canela y azúcar. Era una ciudad de rostros morenos, creada por todos, con música y sonrisas. It's time to settle down. It's time Juanito goes to school, my mother finally said to my father. I was 8 years old and I had gathered the landscapes of the valley close to my heart. My father curling a tractor around the earth, my mother holding her head up high with song. Our little square loaf house swerved down the spiral of the mountains into the cities of Southern California. As the cities came into view, I knew one day I would follow my own road. I would let my voice fly the way my mother recited poems, the way my father called the doves. Ya es tiempo de asentarnos. Es hora que Juanito vaya a la escuela. Al fin le dijo mi mamá a mi papá. Tenía 8 años y ya había recogido los paisajes del valle cerca de mi corazón. Con su tractor, mi papá le daba vueltas a la tierra. Con sus canciones, mi mamá levantaba su cara al sol. Nuestra casita rodante bajaba en espiral de las montañas hacia las ciudades del sur de California. Cuando las ciudades estaban a la vista, yo sabía que algún día yo iba a seguir mi propio camino. Mi voz volaría como los poemas de que recitaba mi madre, como el canto de las palomas que me enseñó mi padre. Espero que disfrutes de este libro. I hope you enjoyed the book. Hope you have a wonderful day. Adios.